the Warriors did have 3 games before the All-Star break. On Monday, they get the win at Milwaukee, 125-111. They lose a nail biter against Dallas in Dallas, 111-107.
Well,
Clay
they
went
lost
nuclear.
to Dallas on the refs. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
refs
and mhm.
made that game a little bit more in their favor than they probably should have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair, but also Clay actually showed Clay had a Clay game, like a good Clay game
Yeah,
as well.
I
So
agree.
that I mean, when he's going right, he gets hotter than video games sometimes.
Hmm.
We've seen it firsthand over the years. So what can you say except you tip your cap? And then they follow it up. They get the win at Houston 105-98 on Thursday, and then they head into the All-Star break. So they are 28-27. I believe that's 10th in the West, but yeah, so they're, right back in line with playoff spot, play-in tournament. Draymond has officially put it on the record that he believes that the Warriors are going to win the title with the Jimmy Butler
Well,
trade.
hold on. I shook my head
And
at
they
this,
Yeah.
and then I started seeing the stars aligning a little bit from the
Mhm.
2017 season or 2017-18 season.
Mhm.
Kendrick Lamar released a new album.
Yep.
Same thing happened then.
Yep, yep.
The college football championship took place in Atlanta, same place back then.
Mhm.
And then the third one was there's one more third thing that happened here. I'm trying to blank on what the other one was here. There was a third thing that happened. Oh, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Ah, okay.
So stars are starting to. I don't
The
believe it to
stars are
happen, but
starring. Yeah, no, I'll be we got to talk to our astrology girlies and see if there's something going on there that they can link up between 7 years ago and this year. I got a couple of them. I'll put some feelers out, see if there's something rhyming, and maybe that'll happen. Obviously the Warriors were front runners that year with Kevin Durant. This year they're gonna have to come from behind basically to do it. Yeah, but I mean, you know what? I mean, you look at the standings, and it feels like the Suns are starting to fade. I didn't think the Suns would be the team to fade. From a couple of weeks ago, our discussion, but they've fallen back a little bit.
I think the
Uh,
Kings are going to eventually start falling down. I think
yeah.
the
So I
Mavs are going
mean,
to start falling down.
yeah. So I think the Warriors should be able to, you know, host a be able to host one of those games at the very least. One of these playing tournament games.
Yeah.
If not two of them, if they can get, or if they handle business in the first one, it won't matter, and then they just, move on to the playoffs. That being said, I'm looking at the standings right now. I'm going to focus on the Warriors are 28-27. They're in 10th right now, 16 and a half back of the 1 seed. Obviously not catching the Thunder. The Thunder are long gone. The Grizzlies are in second place, and they're 8 games back of the Thunder. So the Thunder are going to coast to the 1 seed. We're just going to write that off. That's done. That's lock it up. We're moving on. The
The
So
Rockets, I think, are in
Grizzlies,
third.
Thunder, excuse me, Grizzlies and Nuggets are 2 and 3. Rockets are 4.
Okay.
They're at 34-21. They're actually 6 games ahead of the Warriors right now.
Well,
On
Warriors
the
winning that game
backs.
right before the NBA All Star
Yeah,
break.
yeah,
That's a
that
huge
that
win.
that narrowed it a little bit there. You got the Lakers and the Clippers, both LA teams, good at the same time. So that's interesting. Didn't happen very often. The Clippers are mostly to blame for that, obviously, historically speaking. But um, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think the Warriors are 3.5 back of the Clippers. I think that's doable.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's your 6th seed is the Clippers. Like, you obviously have to leapfrog the Kings, Mavericks, Timberwolves, and Clippers to do it. So that's a little bit tougher, is getting ahead of that many teams. But if you just look at it on paper, and you're 3.5 back. If there were no other teams between you and the Clippers, like I would feel like I could do that. Like play 3.5 games better than the Clippers going out the rest of the way.
can you imagine it comes down to the last game of the season because that's the last time the Warriors see the Clippers?
Oh, that'd be fun. If that game actually matters for like play-in versus like just straight up in the playoffs,
Right.
that would be wild. And I would not be upset having a game that matters that late. And I would just believe that the Clippers are going to do Clipper things, and at some point they'll mess it up.
Yeah, I agree. That's
So
what they do. Billy
yeah,
Crystal can cry about it.
that's right. Um, Indeed. Okay, so let's upcoming games this week for the Warriors. You're at Sacramento on Friday, and then you're at home against Dallas on Sunday. Let's talk All-Star Weekend. Tyler Hero wins the 3-point shooting contest with 24 points in the final.
But
That's
he
the
tried.
lowest score. What?
But he tried.
But he tried. But the 24 points is the lowest winning score since 2017. Unimpressive. Mac McClung wins the slam
Impressive.
dunk contest. That is a little more impressive. Third straight year. Um, I just wish some freaking stars would play in would do these events. I want to see it. I
I
mean, it's too late now, but I wish a dozen years ago LeBron would have done the slam dunk contest.
mm,
Um,
fair.
like I
That's
wish
fair.
something like that would have happened,
Yeah.
but of course it didn't. The skills competition, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley win the win for Team Cavs. Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama got
I love
DQ'd for
this.
not shooting the ball in an attempt to circumvent the rules a little bit there.
I love it.
What do you so what happened exactly? Tell the people like
So
what
so
they did.
they did everything right to the extent of the rules. In fact, it's gone on record that everyone said, "Oh, this is totally Chris Paul manipulating the rules," which I would totally agree with you. But it apparently, record has been shown that Victor Wembanyama was the one who was going around and asking officials all throughout the day before the festivities kicked off on that event, "Is this allowed? Is this allowed?" And all of them told me yes. Apparently, it wasn't allowed. But instead of shooting where they were supposed to shoot, they just threw the balls and then moved to the next section, threw the balls, and then ran the circuit. Nowhere in the rules say that you had to make the shots, just that you had to shoot them. So technically, they did do that. They just didn't attempt to
Right.
shoot
They
into the
were trying to
basket.
make it buckets. Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate it, man. I love that. I love that they
A
bend the
little
rules onto it.
gamesmanship.
Yeah.
It's straight out of like MTV's The Challenge is what it is. Like you're looking for a way to circumvent the rules and get it done easier and faster than everybody else. And
Yeah. I'm all
uh
for that one.
yeah. I love it when it happens on The Challenge. But I don't know if when it's like a real, sport, not, not America's sixth sport. Uh
Sure.
the challenge. God. Yeah, it feels gross. It feels a little gross, like at the NBA level. Like I would expect that to happen in uh, like
But doesn't it
AAU or
feel
something.
on brand for any kind of
It,
all-star event?
it feels on brand for Chris Paul. For a
That
Chris
too.
Paul thing. That's what it
Even
really
though
feels on
even
brand
though even
for.
though he wasn't the one who did that. I mean, it just I'm sure he'll take the heat for it, but apparently it was Victor that did it. So by all means, I mean that kid
Yeah.
is smarter beyond his years. He walked into
Well.
the locker room with his book, and
Mhm.
Jokic was like, "Did you really bring a book with you?" Because knowing that he brings a book with him to read before every game, and Victor was like, "Yeah, I bring one every game. I always read it." And Jokic is just looking like, "Oh my god, this guy."
Mhm.
So I love it, man. I like the gamesmanship about it. Do I? I think it almost kind of perpetuates what this weekend was with the NBA All Star. And
Yeah.
if there wasn't like a straight slap in your face on what this weekend really was, I mean that's as blatant as it can possibly be, and I love it honestly.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it kind of was it was too gimmicky the entire weekend, if we're being honest. To be fair, Team Shaq, the OGs, they win the All-Star game. Steph Curry is named the MVP at Chase Center. Um, yeah, he made a half court shot, and I think that's what won him the MVP. It's the home crowd, half court shot. Steph does Steph things. He took nothing but threes, for the entire game.
Yeah, I
Game
mean,
really.
so this year I decided to watch the All Star event, given that it was local, given that our boy
Mhm.
Steph was in it, made sense to
Yeah.
do it, right? The All Star game was 30 minutes of gameplay, right?
Hmm.
And then 2.5 hours of ads, talking heads, and followed by an awkward farewell to the TNT crew, right?
Who are also not actually going away because ESPN is getting inside the NBA too. So what the hell was that? Goodbye.
So weird.
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
weird. So
yeah.
to me, okay, everything the commentating was awkward. Kevin Hart blasting NBA players for their play while dead air filled between the two co-hosts of not knowing whether they should do a play-by-play call or bounce off of Kevin Hart's commentary. Dude, I honestly like I can't remember the last time a US major sport asked on multiple occasions of its players how they feel about the All-Star format. A sporting event that is voted on by the fans and that it's supposed to be a show for the fans, yet the NBA chose the route to have the reporters ask the players how they feel about the All-Star event. That was weird. Apart from like the Saturday events of the dunk contest, the three-point challenge, and the amazing bending of the rules of the skills challenge from Wemby and Paul, the weekend event had all the makings of it just being like a complete dud. Everything was clunky. It felt unrehearsed to the point that it felt like the NBA put together the All Star format on Friday to present it on Sunday. And like judging by all the empty seats in that All Star game, it seems like the NBA still has a really long way to go until they figure out this issue of how to make it more entertaining for the fans. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I just I mean, even Draymond was like very vocal about how much it feels weird that the young stars got a team
yeah.
too. Like it feels gross, you know. I don't know.
Somebody made a
I
good
didn't love
point.
it.
I don't know if it was Kevin Durant or maybe it was Kyrie Irving, but they said that if you're gonna go this format again, which I don't think they're going to, it was a complete shit show. But if you are gonna go with it again, maybe make the fourth team the NBA All Star snubs, possibly.
Yeah,
It gets
well,
more people inside.
yeah, I think it should be NBA All Stars now. Hockey does a similar type All Star game thing where they have like each division has like a team of All Stars where it's
Right.
like 10 All Stars in between the 8 teams or whatever. It makes a little bit more sense because the rosters are bigger, and so you can still honor the quote unquote correct number of players.
Hmm.
MLB, they kind of extend the bench a little bit more for their All-Star game. Pro Bowl is a freaking joke. We don't need to talk about that. So but to do this with the NBA, it's a little bit weird. Like your rosters just aren't as deep. When you only have three, like if you want to keep the right number of players, you only can have 3 teams, 3 teams of 8, right? So with that, it's just you almost have to extend it out to 32 all stars instead of 24 and get that fourth team in there to make it you know fair or whatever. It's just I like overall I know that they know that the all-star game is broken, right? And they're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, right? And it's tough, I get that, but this wasn't it for me. I just I didn't I couldn't find a way to care even with Steph and it being in our backyard, like I still couldn't find it in me to give a damn. I just
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it's rough, man.
if your team is dog crap, right, and you're in the All Star game, making the ultimatum of whoever wins the All Star game gets, you know, home court advantage for the finals means nothing to the guy who's on the team that's probably not gonna make the playoffs. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know what incentives. I mean, they played for like $1 million last year. That seemed like it got a little bit of a buzz, but then they just completely scrapped that this year. So I don't really know what you could do maybe you go to a 3-on-3 format and play a half court and have like a four point shot in there or something. I don't
mhm,
I don't know,
yeah,
there's to me it just seems like if there isn't money incentive for the players, then there's no incentive for them to put on a show,
right,
right?
yeah,
So, but then again, there's no incentive for fans to want to watch either because there's it's boring, unless dudes are like jumping out of the ceiling to do 360 windmill dunks on every play, or
yeah,
you get some actual defense played. There's no entertainment, and man, there were so many empty seats. It was
yeah.
kind of crazy the whole
Yeah,
game.
I mean, I forgot to even check to see if there was any. you know, like any cheap seats available, like last second. I didn't even bother checking. Like I forgot.